Hello.
Hello. We have been researching and learning more.
Wait a minute. We need an introduction.
Oh, okay. I'm Kent.
I'm Renee. We're the Millers.
We're going to go over chapter 4 again, a recap of triangulation and what vortexes are and what they aren't. And this is pages probably 58 or 59.
No.
No, okay. Well,
77 to 79.
Oh, okay. So with that, we want to go over from last video. We want to go over what triangulation and how it works first. And triangulation is an accelerator of particle energy. Rather than 2, 3 actually accelerates the energy, so it can be more effective in either in communication, in many things actually.
Yeah, so the triangulations can be used for other things. We are only told about the use for meditation purposes at this point. So it's an excitement of the molecules in the atmosphere, in the air, around where this triangulation is occurring. And it creates an excitement of particles that move in a counterclockwise
Yes.
movement. And we're being told it's not exactly a vortex.
It's not. No, it moves in the same premise as a vortex, but it's not really a vortex. The actual stabilized vortexes here on Earth, it's almost like a monitoring station where those that are using them find out what is going on with the Earth itself and in the surrounding area.
Those from outside the Earth.
Yeah. And when we talk about vortexes used in communication, it's not really a vortex. What it is, it's charged particles that actually go one way or the other. The vortexes that are here on Earth go one way, and that's out. Now,
so what he's trying to say is the vortexes on the Earth are somewhat stationary, but they can move.
They can move different spots.
Just because Sedona had vortexes or a vortex doesn't mean they're there anymore. They are being moved. And so there's certain things that can drive that, and that is the materialism of an area, ego, those sort of things.
Changes.
Environmentally,
it changes.
And those things change the vibration of an area and can actually move vortexes away.
Because those vortexes here on Earth are to monitor what happens here on Earth. Okay, now we're going to talk about the energy that is used for communication that is very similar in the way it moves like a vortex, but it's not a vortex.
So the way that we know of the use is through for meditation purposes. So it's triangulation to be used to improve our ability to communicate with the spirit world or other beings. So we can have 3 people sitting in a triangle formation. And they are meditating and they're emptying their thoughts and calming their minds and focus on one person who is really going to be
the spokesperson for that group.
The receiver. Okay.
The receiver. Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want all these people competing for a communication all at once, because it gets very confusing. Yeah, so you designate one person to be a receiver. The 3 of you sit in a triangle formation, and you start to meditate and calm your minds.
Yeah, and these vortexes of communication are very temporary. They do not last here and hang over a house or over wherever. Okay, but the natives, the American, not American, the natives of this land, which we know a little bit about, used prayer and meditation to speak with, they called it the Creator, for their directional movement of their particular clan or tribe. And they would be told which way, how far to go, or at least which way to go. Now, we can use that same theory to contact the spiritual or whatever is outside Earth for guidance. But since it is only temporary, you're not guaranteed every time you go into a meditation that you will get anything, let alone guidance.
And it takes a lot of practice. And so Kent mentioned vortex for communication, and we use that term loosely in this context because we were corrected in that it's not a true vortex, but it does move in a very similar fashion. The unseen atoms, molecules within the atmosphere, within the gases, move in a counterclockwise, excited fashion and movement. If you want to think about, if you want a visual, think of a tornado. Very similar visually. This is the counterclockwise movement that forms kind of this tunnel formation. And this is not powerful like a tornado.
These are unseen particles.
It's not something that we can see. But it's a tool that we can use for communication with the spiritual world, with other beings, so that it can bring us a new level of understanding.
But you got to remember, these particles that form this this reverse or counterclockwise movement are not a vortex as we use the word vortex. Okay, they are particles of highly excited. I guess they would be, I don't know the atomic structure, but it's part of the atomic structure that are used for communication. Not all communication comes through that, and not everyone can get this communication.
And not. You don't always need this triangulation to be able to communicate. It's just a tool to help, especially during these times, because communication is very difficult now because we have a lot of interferences. And anything that's going on in the atmosphere is going to affect spiritual communication.
But when the meditation or the prayers come from the heart, truly from the heart, they can penetrate what this person really wants. They can penetrate the upper atmosphere. And those that hear this, usually if it's from the heart, will react to some kind of circumstantial event to give a bit cause,
to give clarification to the event. So this is, all communication is really for the expansion of intellectual universal consciousness. That's what we're talking about here. So when you have somebody who has a new desire to learn, to understand the spiritual realm, to understand our purpose in life, where they're going,
what our value is here,
how we can help humanity. There's much to learn. And so when you have that burning desire within, that is what calls upon a teacher. And so when the student is ready, the teacher arrives.
Yes.
And sometimes we think about that in a physical sense. It's not always physical.
That's right.
And so when we have new thoughts, epiphanies, oftentimes these are coming from a spiritual guide that is delivering a thought to you to help you with your understanding.
And your movement forward as a human being, trying to figure out where you fit in this huge puzzle that is here on Earth.
Yeah.
And everybody has a part if you want to be part of what's happening here. If you don't want to be, That's called free will. And you can opt out of everything that's happening, but you also opt out of future.
Future what?
Whatever will happen.
So, yeah, we're given free will, and the whole purpose of the universe and all of creation is a network of communicating entities to help one another in furthering their levels of understanding. It can be on a personal level. It can be on a larger, planetary level. It can be on a universal level. Universal laws and concepts, which is actually where humanity is going. And so this whole chapter 4, is about how communication works from creator all the way down, and how we can facilitate that communication. Right now, there are very few people who can actually tap in, but that is all going to change. So
we do not know when this is going to change. We're not told when.
We're always reminded there is no such thing as time in the way that we view time, and so we can't assign a date. We can't assign a calendar day.
We can't assign anything to it because everything is told as we need to know at that particular time, and not more.
And all change comes in sequential steps. So step 1 has to come before step 2, and so forth, to get us to that final goal. And so eventually we will have much more of our DNA turned on through the placement of protein markers on the DNA rung, which activates that particular segment and enables it to be expressed. But that comes in time.
Yeah, everything has to come in time. You cannot hurry the future. It comes as it is needed at that particular time of the events that happen here on Earth.
So the information that we're giving you now about communication systems and how they work is to prepare humanity for this ability, but also we have a changing neuronet, which is a plasmic network of charged atoms that are interfaced with neurons that help in that communication process. Okay. All of that is being changed.
Okay, with that.
He's pushing me on.
With that, because she keeps covering stuff.
Everything is being upgraded. Okay.
Now
we're bringing forth.
Okay, not everything is being upgraded. Most things that are most important to the survival of humanity, what there's going to be, and the Earth itself is upgraded. Now, with that information that you've gotten today on the correction of the particles of communication and not a vortex, we want you to study this on your own. Look at the book, study this on your own, learn, understand, and then you'll be ready for the coming.
In our next video and our next blog, we're going to be talking about something that everybody really likes to talk about. That's dimensions.
There's a lot of information out there in dimensions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good information that...
Talking about string theory.
And so we'll be covering that. We wanted to get the basics of this communication system down. The dimensions will toggle into that, and will help clarify what dimensions are all about and what they're used for.
Otherwise, you have a great weekend. Study up on string theory, and you'll understand when we talk about dimensions.
He's just kidding. Bye-bye.